and the extraordinary. Before I pass it over to Jacob and Joseph, I'd like to do a little audio test with our audience members. For those of you new to our webinar system, if you could type into the chat box, we hear you, Megan, we're really excited. That'll let us know that everyone is logged in and they can see a screen that says Spark. All right, everyone's logged in. So we'll give it a few more minutes to let the last stragglers get online and on board for the presentation, and then we'll get started. Welcome again, everyone. I'd like to pass over the controls to Jacob Colker and Joseph from Spark.com, and we'll get started. Oh, and before I pass it to you, I just wanted to let the audience know there will be a copy of the presentation afterwards that I'll send in an email and a recording available on our website.
So, hi, everyone. Thanks for spending some of your time with us today. I'm Jacob, and I'm Joseph. And we are here to talk about Spark. I'm going to give you a quick little background on our bios just to kind of make this a little bit more personal. I grew up in Chicago, spent much of the last 7 years of my life working for causes and political campaigns, both on a city, state, national, and international level. I spent some time working for the Democratic Party. I was very fortunate to spend 2 years working for the International Campaign for Tibet, supporting the Dalai Lama's efforts to raise awareness of human rights issues in Tibet. Did some climate advocacy for the One Sky campaign. Joseph.
Yes, and I'm originally from California. I've been a long-time web entrepreneur, working mostly in kind of the web education space. Working anywhere from corporates to colleges to business schools, working on down to actually the K through 8 space, all kind of web-based education. I spent a good bit of my career in Asia, in Singapore and India, also working with kind of high school and college students out there, in addition to, again, a lot of time working in kind of the corporate learning space as well.
And since we've launched Spark and the Extraordinaries, which was our name before Spark, we've also been able to receive a number of amazing support from organizations like Echoing Green and the Knight Foundation and whatnot. So just want to take 2 seconds and share a little bit of history about the evolution of how we were able to come together and create this. In 2006, I started really using online organizing. Facebook. I was one of the first field directors in the country to organize a statewide political campaign and to really put online organizing into action. This was in 2006. Ben Rigby, who's kind of the third wheel here, who wasn't able to make it today, wrote a book called Mobilizing Generation 2.0, which was a fantastic handbook to help nonprofits understand how to use technology to engage their supporters and their constituents. And Ben did a case study about the campaign I ran in Maryland, and that's how we connected. In 2008, we really got serious about this and started building prototypes and trying to figure out how we could really put microvolunteering into practice and coin the term microvolunteering. We were inspired by Muhammad Yunus's microfinance. We were looking for a way to kind of capture the essence of how we could do the same with spare time that Yunus had done with finances. And so we came up with the term microvolunteering. I'm not sure if that was the first time it was ever used, but in this case, that's what we thought was the right term to describe. And we were also very fortunate to bring really excellent investors like Mitch Kapoor and Esther Dyson into the mix, and they were very excited about helping to take microvolunteering forward. In 2009, we launched the Extraordinary's first platform on an iPhone and then migrated to the web. And after 16 months of live user tests where we had hundreds of thousands of people using the system and we learned a lot, we retired the Extraordinary's old platforms and launched the next generation of microvolunteering called Spark. And Joseph joined us in, what was it, July?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah. And then this year, we are launching the enterprise version of Spark to help corporations take cause marketing and employee volunteering programs to the next level. So that's brief history and timeline. So I want to talk about the need and the opportunity. Like, why does the world need microvolunteering? So Deloitte did a survey, and they continue to put out a lot of really excellent reports. 95% of nonprofits need more skilled labor. The challenge is that managing volunteers is a lot of work. It requires sometimes or often a full-time volunteer manager to handle that. And for underpaid and overworked nonprofits, even though they need more help, bringing more people on board and more volunteers is sometimes a management issue. And there are great services like VolunteerMatch that help make that easier and help connect people and help them find the right opportunities. But it is still today a need for nonprofits. And go to the next slide. At the same time, there are millions of people around the world who have skills. They are designers, they are marketing experts, social media experts, researchers, and they have spare time that comes when they're waiting for a meeting to start, when they're at their break during lunch, when they're sitting on the couch watching the evening news at home. There are all these moments throughout our day where we have 30 minutes, an hour free here and there. And where if we were to build a system or a way for people with 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours of spare time and who have skills to be able to connect with nonprofits that could really use them, that would provide a lot of value. And this was basically the need and the opportunity that we saw, and that's why we kind of started working in this area and got really serious about creating microvolunteerism. So where does it fit in, and how does microvolunteering work? We feel it's very complementary to many of the other organizations that are out there. So, for example, VolunteerMatch has been doing this for 15, 20 years now, and they're a fantastic place to go when you're an individual or you're a nonprofit and you're looking for that kind of one-to-one match. Taproot is a fantastic organization, and Aaron Hurst has been very supportive of the concept of microvolunteering. They manage kind of campaigns where they help employees of companies kind of complete projects for nonprofits that need them, and they do a lot of really exciting pro bono campaign work. And Spark is designed to kind of be, in a sense, similar to Facebook, if you will, where in the same amount of time it takes you to log on and see what your friends are doing or watch a YouTube clip, you could actually log on to Spark and in a very social, kind of collaborative way, share your skills with a nonprofit somewhere around the world that needs it. And that's really kind of the concept behind microvolunteerism. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, sure. So kind of where it fits in. So a big thing is we want this to complement in-person volunteering. It's something that, all that space in between where you maybe haven't had time to go back or you're able to go whether you go once every month, quarter, twice a year. That time in between, you can continue your relationship and continue helping out groups that you're already volunteering with in person. And that's the second point as well, that it deepens that relationship because you're able to have kind of that in-person component and then that kind of once-in-a-while quick online check-ins and help as well. And which also, again, is leads to that third point. That just builds a bit of a continuity, which is what we're hoping that people can do, again, just to extend that the relationship that they have. Also, we do enable campaigns and unique projects. You can kind of create some goals that you would like to. You know, some people have created themes where maybe a certain month they'll try to do a big environmental push, and then they can kind of decide the number of challenges or the types of organizations that they want to rally people around. So while there's kind of a world of volunteering opportunities online, you can also kind of focus it around themes or geographies or however you might want to kind of shape your online volunteer experience over any given point in time.
So let's just explain how the process works, because it's still a new concept, and you know, micro-volunteering is something we want to make it a little bit easier to understand. So nonprofits log in, and they're from all over the world. It doesn't really matter where you are. We have village Maasai warrior village leaders in Africa using micro-volunteering, and we have modern nonprofits in New York and San Francisco. And so you log in as a nonprofit, and you could host a challenge. So apologies about the animation. So a challenge is a discrete project, a discrete request for help, something that can be completed online in a reasonable amount of time, and that's a small enough chunk to be able to bite off. And we're going to get into some examples a little bit later of what a challenge could be. And then challenges are worked on collaboratively by micro-volunteers. And these are individuals who have signed up to micro-volunteer, or they are groups of employees that work at major corporations. And inside a major corporation, there are teams that can collaborate and compete and have fun inside the corporation to see who can create more good. It could be at the departmental level, it could be regional, it could be any kind of variables that you want to use to create separate groups. But that's basically the ecosystem, if you will, of micro-volunteering. So just going to walk you through the process here.
Yeah, so let's say a company is signed on, or they have a group of people who are ready to start volunteering, so which is the screen we just walked you through. So let's think about what happens when an individual now logs into startup. So as you can see, this is the onboarding screen. You quickly go in. In the second screen, you tell us about your causes, the things that you're really interested in, and you can pick as many as you want. But you know, for example, maybe you're interested in environment and literacy. And then the next screen on 3, you tell us what your skills are. And this is one of the most important things, obviously, for a skills-based model, is we want to make sure that we're finding challenges that really meet what you're good at and where you can apply your expertise. So even if you're going in for 5 to 10 minutes at minimum to answer a question, if it's in your core skill area, it's something where you're going to be able to make a lot of impact and help someone out. And then as soon as you finish those, on the 4th screen, you'll see other people in our system. Everyone has kind of indicated their causes and their skills. And you can see everyone who has similar interests and skills that you have. So that kind of starts off with a good social tone and kind of collaborative tone to let you know, again, there are a lot of people like you out there. And then this information is used immediately. So now let's say this becomes your home page. So let's say in this case, I am Ben. And what happens is you see 2 challenges here, and you can kind of filter. You can see left and right. But this is basically matching the skills that you've indicated to us that you're interested in, and then again the causes as well. So if I said I'm very good, for example, in social media and marketing, and again to use the example of the environment and literacy, it'll make sure that whenever there's a nonprofit in the kind of environment or literacy space that has social media or marketing questions, these will populate on my home page. And this is just, again, a good way for me to find relevance immediately. There are a couple other things I could do. I could favorite by clicking a little heart whenever I see a nonprofit that I really like. And then the system will make sure that anytime that nonprofit has a challenge that it shows up for me. Maybe my organization has also said they really want to promote several nonprofits that they already help, or maybe they have a cause area that they're really interested in, we can make sure that those populate as well. So rest assured, whenever you come to your homepage, you'll have these challenges that are relevant to you. So going into a challenge real quickly here, this is an email notification. We make sure that we kind of have a push system where, you know, if you're a bit busy and haven't logged on, we'll make sure that just as we posted it on your homepage, we can also push these out to you in email. System works the same. These are in your skill area. These are from causes or nonprofits that you've indicated that you're a big fan of and want to help. And then quickly, so when you go to your corporate team page, so if in this case we have SAP. If I work at SAP, I can go here and see all my fellow team members, and they're kind of put in the order of who's done the most challenges. I can scroll over any one of them and kind of see what everyone is up to. This aggregates all the challenges, the number of challenges that we have done as a team or company, the number of thank you notes, the number of thumbs up we received, and I can see all the open challenges from my teammates. So I can check out what other people are working on, because maybe I'll be interested if I have a coworker who's helping on any particular challenge. I can jump in and help them out as well, or just kind of see what other people are doing. And this kind of creates a more, again, a social aspect, and it also, there's a nice sense of team that people at companies want to see what each other is doing. And then when you go within a challenge page itself, basically you'll see the challenge, you'll see other people on the left, you'll see the organization, and then other people who've responded to it as well. And with everything, there's always kind of a forum of answers, and it's a great way where people from different companies or just individual volunteers can all come in, answer things together. They can comment on each other's responses, build on each other's responses, give a thumbs up if they see something that they think is a really good answer and they don't want to be redundant, or they just want to kind of make sure that the nonprofit knows that there's been a, you know, that something that's a particularly good answer to be aware of. So this is a great way where you can see different people from different companies all working together as well to build on great answers, and a great learning forum as well. This is, you know, if you're interested in, let's say, social media and you're helping out, you could see what some people at other companies who are also well versed in this area, kind of what they're saying and how they're approaching things as well. So it's a really great kind of cross-company collaboration. And then when you finish a challenge, you see the volunteer awards. So we let the nonprofits choose 1 or 2 awards of excellence, and that's basically the best answers, or the 2 people who provided feedback or help that they thought was the most valuable. And in this case, Luz from Field gave this to Clay and Jocelyn from Google, who had done a great job, and then that will also show up on Google's team page with a couple awards of excellence. And it's always kind of fun for your teammates and coworkers to see that you did a really good job, that you were acknowledged by a nonprofit. And most importantly, I think it helps remind everybody involved in the system that when you answer questions, that they're used, they're valued, and that your work is as well. And I think that's one of the biggest things people ask us about is, how do we know what we're doing if that makes an impact? And this is a really good way to remind everyone. So moving into impact, a few examples. Back to Jacob.
So we've explained kind of where we've come from personally and where the organization has come from, and we've walked you through a little bit of the bigger picture, and then some of the screenshots you could see where we've come with the system as well. And now I just want to get into, for a few minutes, exactly what it is that people can do. This is obviously what it's all about. And so I want to start off here with design. Nonprofits all over the world need design help. You need logos designed, you need banner heads for your emails, you need cover page for your annual report, you need websites. Design is just a critical part of running any organization. And for nonprofits, this is obviously very important. Here's an example of the Surfrider Foundation, the Portland chapter. This is just a quick example. They needed new business cards, new letterhead, and they put it out there. They had a number of different graphic designers come in and submit different variations of that. And this is just a quick example to kind of see a few different iterations of a design for one nonprofit. We've had people design logos. We've had people design websites. We've had people design brochures. Anything you can think of, graphic designers enjoy being able to take a few minutes and work for a cause or a nonprofit that they care about. So this is design. Translation's another big one. I would say that in my circle, there are few people that don't speak a second language of people that are members of my friends or colleagues. Language is just something that we all have a talent, and it doesn't matter if you are a senior vice president or a receptionist. Language is a skill that many people have. And so here's an example of Ronald McDonald House of Cincinnati. They needed a brochure that they could hand families when they walk into their house for services to make them feel welcome. One thing that they didn't have was an Arabic brochure that they could hand out to families. And so they posted this letter on our site, and somebody, I believe it was a Google employee in India who happened to speak Arabic, that logged in and translated this into Arabic, which they're now using to hand to families that are out there. And so we've had Swahili translations. Spanish is a big one, obviously. Portuguese was another one that was popular for a while. And so anybody who has a language skill can log in and help a nonprofit translate brochures or websites or blog posts or anything you can think of where translation would be valued. And this is another great thing that people can do in under 30 minutes, in under an hour from their desk, just like design. And it's very, very useful today.
And I wanted to just interrupt for a second to the audience. If any questions are coming up, feel free to type those in, and we can pose them to Jacob and Joseph as they're sharing these examples.
IT help is obviously something that a lot of nonprofits need help with. And people, especially in today's day and age, there's a lot of talent out there, and a lot of social media, web-savvy folks. Here's an example of the Chimpanzee Sanctuary Northwest. They had somebody hack their website, and for some reason they were being classified in search engines as a different type of site that was blocking them from being able to show up in people's browsers. A simple little bit of code fixed the problem, but it was a major issue for this nonprofit, and their traffic was plummeting, and they weren't able to get people to come to their website. And obviously, if you can't get people to come to your website, you can't raise awareness or raise donations or anything of the sort. So a simple issue is that people looked at their code on their website and offered a few quick suggestions on how to fix that, and they got the problem solved. But anything, it doesn't necessarily involve web. I mean, if you have an intranet or anything in your office, or rather the nonprofit's office, you can use Spark or find people here that can help you solve that problem. And so designing widgets or building IT solutions, all of that happens and you can do that with microvolunteering in a reasonable amount of time. The fourth example is branding. If you need to brand a new product, or in this case, Goodwill Industries needed to brand their new blog, it's very easy to post a challenge and have hundreds of people who have real product skills that work at these corporations and companies log in and use their product expertise and their branding expertise to help you create a name. In this case, Goodwill Industries have their blog named through microvolunteering, and their blog is now called the Good Life blog. And that is going to be the brand that they're going to push nationally for their blog. But again, anything you can think of where branding would matter, you can get people to collaborate and come up with an idea for you. And then the last one here is focus grouping. This is just another example of how people can come together and collaborate to help you achieve results, or help nonprofits achieve results. Building Tomorrow was launching a new website. They had a number of different designs, and they were obviously concerned about the usability of their website and if it made sense, and they posted a challenge on Spark. They had a dozen or so micro-volunteers come in and give really important qualitative feedback on the usability of their website and the effectiveness. And again, this can be anybody in a corporation. It doesn't have to be in the marketing or IT department. People who work in accounting or sales obviously use websites at some point throughout their day too. So their feedback and their opinion is very important. So this is just kind of a wide range of examples. And I think there's one point Joseph mentioned to me yesterday, is that it's not just about the web. Obviously, these are a number of web examples here, but if you need a program designed or graphics, it's not only about being online, as you mentioned. So these are just some examples of impact. And I just want to pause here for a second and take some questions around what we said so far, or other questions about the type of work that can be done through microvolunteerism, or any of the sort.
Just some quick clarifying questions that have come in. Do you all offer APIs?
Not yet. We will at some point this year.
Okay. And then there's also a question as to if you considered having arts as one of your interests.
Yeah, great question. So the onboarding screen is not meant to be a end-all. It's really just meant to get people's lips wet and get them into the system quickly and make it fun and engaging. It's not a comprehensive system. You can add into your profile and into the back end, and we have 4 or 5 dozen different categories there. It's hard to fit them all onto the introductory screen, but absolutely arts is something that's a category right now in the system.
Do we have other questions from the audience?
Yep, there's a lot coming in. So thanks to everyone that's writing questions, and we'll ask a couple more now and then towards the end. Can businesses select specific challenges that are only for their employees?
Yes, absolutely. So we have for every company, and we create teams, you can, a manager can basically, anytime you see a challenge that you really like in the system, an individual challenge, you can favorite it, and then that challenge will show up on the home page for all the individuals on your team. And then on a slightly more macro level, you can also tell us that there are, again, certain nonprofits that your company works with, and we can make sure that those challenges from them get higher priority for every individual on your team as well.
So we had a few other questions that I'm happy to read to the audience and have Jacob and Joseph respond to. There was some curiosity about how nonprofits are vetted and how Spark handles that.
So we have a full-time person on staff that vets nonprofits as they come through. In the U.S., they're vetted against the IRS database, Charity Navigator, and a few other websites. Internationally, we ask them to actually submit their credentials for their local or respective countries, and we do our best to ensure that these are legitimate organizations on the system. One point, we are exploring allowing like microfinance entrepreneurs, for example, that are given Kiva grants, or community groups that don't necessarily have a 501c3 certification but are a legitimate school group or a local group of concerned parents onto the system. And so we're creating filters to allow companies to sort through only nonprofits, for example, if that's their choice. But we are trying to explore how we can empower people beyond just nonprofits who are doing good work in the world and creating something magical, and support them with micro-volunteers.
Great, and that kind of leads into another follow-up question about how Spark is going to be integrating charitable giving programs and grant programs with the work that you're doing.
Yeah, so we're probably going to turn on giving at some point in Q2. We're still, frankly, figuring that out, I'll be completely honest. We can't solve everything overnight, but that is coming at some point this year, and we're working with our current customers and people who are interested to figure out how to best do that.
Okay, great. Before we proceed with further questions, I'll go back to your presentation and we'll take some more at the end.
Let's see, yeah, so we can go forward here. So kind of just going backward real quickly, the genesis of this is while we were the Extraordinaries with our iPhone app, we were getting contacted by quite a few companies saying they liked the idea of kind of micro-volunteering and online volunteering and really wanted to explore it with us. So we spent about 3 months just talking to CSR volunteer managers to figure out exactly what they needed, what you all needed in a system, and kind of built it around that. So what I'm about to go through with you is pretty much what everyone was telling us. The number one is very obvious. It's just increased participation that, you know, everyone is always seeking more engagement from their employees. And the idea that we could try to figure out how to use small bits of time to increase the frequency that people volunteer, and again, all that space in between their current volunteering, if we could expand that and have deeper relationships, we thought this would find a space within the kind of volunteer offerings that everyone provided. We'll go. And then skills-based impact, this was absolutely the number one thing. We had a very great crowdsourcing application, iPhone application, but the number one thing that CSR managers were saying was that you access to so many talented employees with so many skills and wanted to put them to use somehow. So that was really an imperative, is that we but your own employee activity would go to the feed. Everyone could see who in your company is volunteering for whom. There's kind of a calculation of the amount of value that represents the number of nonprofits that you're helping. The globe gets a little, or the map gets a little cut off there, but it also shows where you're making impact around the world. So this is just a great way for everyone to participate and enjoy and understand that what you're doing and what your employees are doing in the organization. And then another way of broadcasting that out is going to Facebook. You know, a lot of people did make sure that, you know, they want to make sure that employees and their friends and their coworkers and colleagues see all the great activity they're doing. So again, this is another example that, in this case, let's say Jeremy Pepper is volunteering, and let's say Jeremy has 500 Facebook friends. In this case, Britt Bravo is one of them. Whenever Jeremy, and this is opt-in, so you don't have to have this on, but once it's on, it's automatic, and it can be automatic for all your employees. But whenever one of your employees volunteers, that can go directly out to his or her Facebook feed, and then all of his or her friends see the activity they're doing. And it's kind of a triple win in a way. You know, it's good. People never say, or very often they don't say they need to broadcast what they're doing, but it does feel good when you really believe in what you're doing and that other people see that. It's great for the nonprofit because it gives them some really much needed PR, and they're always happy to see that. And then it's also good for your program. It's just good for, in this case, people to know that SAP is active, and more importantly, SAP employees are active.
And just to drive home the math for a second, if you have 1,000 employees that are micro-volunteering, and on average they have 500 friends on Facebook, that's 500,000 people, assuming that it hits everyone's newsfeed, that could be learning about the great work that your company is doing, or the nonprofits that you're associated with are trying to achieve. If you have 10,000 employees, that's 5 million people learning about that work. So helping to raise awareness and broadcast is obviously something that is able to do, given that this is an all online approach.
Good. And then another thing we do as well is just kind of, and this also is that same motif of making sure that people can see what activity is happening within your employee volunteering. But we can also create a tab on a company's Facebook page, and this would be obviously consumer-facing, where you could, in this case, it's our impact page. And we can feed, and this is dynamic. So if your company is doing a lot in the environment, this will then automatically feed to your Facebook page. It'll have, you see the 12 environmental nonprofits help, the number of challenges. We also have the same kind of recent activity, and those are activity from your employees. And then the challenges is a good way that you could actually get your customers, your consumers, to engage in a challenge. And this is really, we think, pretty transformative. I mean, everyone is looking, companies are always looking at how they can engage their customers online. You know, you can announce that you're doing this or that with your product, but you also want to engage someone so they can get involved as well. So in this case, you can get them involved in volunteering, and you can also match this to kind of what your company believes. For example, we work with Kraft, and they like to do a lot of nutrition and health challenges. So they can put nutrition and health challenges on their Facebook page and get other people to get involved that way. So it fits with the company mission, it gets consumers engaged, it shows that your own employees also believe in these causes and are active in these causes. This is just a quick thing. We're asked all the time that everyone has such great offline and in-person volunteer programs, and they constantly want other ways, even through an online volunteer system, to make sure everyone knows all the great stuff that's happening. So whenever you have an event, any type of event, we make sure that you can publicize it to people through a kind of a pop-up interstitial on the left there, and then we have emails that go out through the system, and you can put a little note on the bottom. And again, this is a good way. Everyone's doing really robust volunteering programs, online, offline, big events, quarterly events, whatever it is. This just makes sure that everyone kind of understands your all the activity that you have going on. And we've talked about this a bit. A really fun part of online volunteering is that you can sit down at your desk and help anywhere in the world. You can, and it's really interesting as we work with employees and get feedback, especially with American people have traveled a lot, changed careers. They have families from all over the world. So it seems like if you talk to any one person, they often have several interests in different places throughout the world for whatever reason. And it's just a really great way to connect. Again, from your desk, you could volunteer for a rural literacy project in India or environmental campaign in Brazil, or you could work with a group down in New Zealand. Whatever it might be, it's just an instant way to impact the world. And as soon as people start doing online volunteering, they quickly start seeing that the map fills up because employees definitely like to engage throughout the world. So it's kind of fun as you see all the pins come on real quickly, just how far and wide your employees will start volunteering. And the final very quick point is that a lot of people are asking us to kind of help them with millennial engagement. And a lot of younger employers are very, very passionate about helping causes and come in and look for companies that are very passionate about helping whatever cause they may believe in. So, and when you have an online medium, younger employees, not only younger employees, but particularly younger employees, engage real quickly and really take to it and are quick to enjoy it and share it with their friends and enjoy kind of the whole social aspect of it. So it's been particularly successful with these employees, but we see the take-up, very strong up and down kind of the employee base. And I think that's
great. Thank you both so much. I think we have a few more questions from our audience.
We do. So there's just a couple of quick questions that folks are interested in. How many nonprofits currently participate, and is there a charge for them?
So we don't charge nonprofits. We set out to create impact. That's why we formed this company, and so we do not charge nonprofits. There are over 1,300 using the system right now, and we're growing at about a rate of 10 per day. That doesn't include all the other partnerships and everything. So we suspect at some point by the end of 2011 we'll be close to 15,000 nonprofits using the system.
Great. And what's the kind of average response rate that nonprofits can expect for their challenges?
Average response rate. That's interesting. So
in terms of like the number of people per challenge?
Yeah, I would say probably 5 right now.
Yeah, it depends. So if it's a small project, if it's something like doing a logo or a design,
right.
You'll have 1. Sometimes you'll see 2 or 3 people work on something, but
right.
Small projects are usually 1 or 2 people. If it's something that's just an answer, you'd see, I'd say average might be about 4 or 5.
Right.
Sometimes you'll see people really start going. You could see up to
right.
20 answers. But yeah, I'd say 4 or 5 is probably a sweet spot.
And what about the amount of time challenges last?
Yeah, so that also varies.
Yeah, it also depends. You know, if you're designing a logo, that's obviously going to take more time than if you're brainstorming a new tagline or marketing idea for a nonprofit. The key thing, though, is that each challenge is highly collaborative. It's designed to allow multiple people to participate and offer value. Either they're voting other people's answers up or down, or commenting on somebody else's logo or translation or design. And basically, we've taken all of the magic behind Wikipedia and really kind of built that into the challenges so that people can build on each other's work and collaborate and create something that's the product of multiple people's efforts as opposed to just one, although in the case of a design, it would be one graphic designer or whatnot. But it's designed to be very collaborative, and we have seen upwards of 100 people respond to a challenge once the collaboration really gets going. So.
Another question, do you have resources or places where either nonprofits or companies can go to help rethink some of their projects to create smaller challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a blog where we actually try and do this, trying to create an education resource center, and that's blog.sparked.com. Yeah, and then obviously we're here to help. There's a full-time staff of 7 people at Sparked. So Shauna Carey, who's our nonprofit manager, can get on the phone and help you think through a plan and really do that.
And then another question is, what's been one of the most successful challenges that you've seen that folks on the phone should definitely know about?
I think I personally have 3 favorites. One example is there was a Maasai warrior in Amboseli, Kenya, who wanted to put a well into his village and didn't really know how to do that or have resources or access to companies that are doing this. Through an NGO we're working with out in Kenya called AVIF, Jackson, who's the name of this village leader, posted this challenge. It was routed through the routing system that we have to 2 people who I believe were former Peace Corps volunteers who had spent a great deal of time in Kenya, and they actually knew of a number of companies that were actually drilling wells. And so it turns out 40 kilometers down the road, there was actual drill teams with actual Maasai warriors on it drilling wells in Kenya. And through connecting and sharing information, these Peace Corps volunteers solved this challenge and helped get them connected, and they're now on track to putting a well in that village. And if you think about the long-term impact of that, people don't have to walk 18 kilometers a day for water now, and they have more time to build businesses and improve their own lives in interesting ways. And it really only took 5 to 10 minutes of that Peace Corps volunteer's time to share that information. There's a number of really great graphics that have been designed through the system that have saved nonprofits thousands of dollars. The designers love it because they get to be creative and do things that aren't necessarily forced on them by having to complete this for work, and they're allowed to be creative and help organizations that they care about. VolunteerMatch's Twitter background was designed through Sparked. There's an example of design. And then lastly,
sorry,
go ahead.
Just for me, I think, and there are always there are great examples throughout the site. For me, a lot of times, though, even a lot of the mundane ones, I think, are very interesting. I mean, when you think about it, you see nonprofits from all over the world posting challenges, and you'll see times, I saw a great one, it was a web challenge. To be honest, I can't remember, there were a few, but they were asking for feedback on the website, and they had about 6 Googlers join in. And, you know, this group, they were somewhere in Southeast Asia, and, you know, they're sitting there without many resources, trying to figure out how to optimize their website a bit. And there's 6 people from Google and Mountain View that are helping them for free. They're all kind of riffing off each other and building on their answer and providing just amazing value. And, you know, a lot of people ask us, well, how much value can you provide in 5 or 10 minutes? But go look at some of these people who just know the web inside and out, in this case the web, the Google folks. But, you know, in 5 or 10 answers, when you have about 5 or 6 people who are all building on each other's answers, the value is fantastic. And we get a lot of just great feedback from nonprofits who are so excited to kind of tap into the expertise of people at top companies and really just provide them some help that that's often hard to get otherwise, and certainly kind of cross-border, and to get that help from so far away is it's really great to see. And beyond kind of and we have a lot of great stories, but just when you look at kind of that average everyday help that you see people get, it's really for me it's really fun to see that kind of impact made.
Yeah, I'll just lastly build on that real quick. Google employees, for example, another thing that they've been doing in the system is helping nonprofits who have Google grants. Google gives out grants every month to nonprofits to give them free AdWord grants. And nonprofits have had actual Google employees rewrite or work with these nonprofits to provide better ad copy for that little ad there, which has increased considerably the number of click-throughs. And if you actually have Google employees helping you rewrite that AdWord ad, that does create a lot of impact. And Google employees love it because they're able to see the actual impact of their own products on a one-to-one basis with the nonprofits that they work with. So it's just really exciting ways that employees are being able to kind of do one-to-one marketing on their own products to nonprofits and have a great impact in the process.
Great, thank you. I think you've got a lot of people thinking out there because there's been a lot of questions. So if we don't get to your question, know that we can pass it on to Jacob and Joseph to answer afterwards. One other question that's come in quite a bit is where people can go to find out more about your corporate offering.
If you go to spark.com, there's a button that says corporations, and if you click it, it'll ask you to type in your email address, and then Joseph will call you.
Yeah, but I'll also add to that, and are we wrapping up here as well? Because we also want to... Oh, we do? Okay. Yeah. But also, we are exploring a bit with VolunteerMatch. You've been really kind to have us in here today. And, you know, and this, you know, microvolunteering is still somewhat new, and we're absolutely excited about it. But there's some great products and some great services out there. So a big part of coming in here today is trying to figure out, you know, how we fit into the suite of services. People asked about donations earlier. You have a lot of great offline and in-person volunteer programs. So a big part of what we're doing is fitting in that ecosystem where, you know, hopefully on an additive basis, we can really make the whole volunteer landscape stronger. So to the extent that, you know, we're also exploring with VolunteerMatch and getting your feedback today, it's something that hopefully, you know, with the team here, if people are interested, we could all explore together to kind of see how all of this can work to kind of help whatever, because everyone will have kind of different needs out there. And whatever we can do to kind of look at that holistically, we are happy to do.
We have another question from the audience. How does Spark facilitate tracking and analysis of CSR reporting for their clients?
So you mean what people are doing through microvolunteering?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So
basically the entire system is online. So because of that, we can track every click. We track the behavior. So you know, it's the amount of data we're able to export through reports on a company's employees is really phenomenal, and yeah,
and it's fantastic. So it's all real time, and you can see what skills people are applying. You can see what causes, which nonprofits, and we can break everything down by individual, by team, by company. So you get a really good and a quick look at to kind of see where people's interests are. And sometimes you'll be a bit surprised. You might find that people are more involved in the literacy than you might have thought. Or you might see that social media skills or copywriting skills or whatever it might be are quite prominent and that people are really excited to help out with. But all of this, again, is done in real time. We're building this now. We have full reporting on our end, and we're just working now to make it live that you'll be able to access it directly, so that's coming soon. But again, all of it is online. The one thing that we can't track is the amount of time, let's say you work on a logo. We can't track, obviously, the amount of time maybe that you put into that logo. So those bits of time, the bits of time that you might put into offline help, even though you might be delivering it online, we don't track that. But otherwise, we just have the entire suite. Every click, every minute is tracked, and we can give you reports, again, on an individual team or company basis.
Great. Well, I think that's about it from our audience for now, and if any questions come up after audience members, feel free to email me and I can forward it to the Spark team. If either of you have some final thoughts, we can close it up after that.
No, I just want to say thanks to VolunteerMatch for being the great thought leaders that they are and inviting us to come and contribute to that.
Yeah, and thank you all for your time today. It's great to be able to chat with you here.
All right, thank you so much. And for those of you on the call, I'll be sending out the presentation after, and a recording will be available. And check back in with us to sign up for the next webinars. Tuesday, March 15th is the next one with DeSantis Brendel talking about the power of branding. All right, thank you, everyone.